Hey everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Respawn podcast. I'm Chicken.
I'm Oak Tree.
I'm Griff.
I'm Baka.
What's up, guys?
So
I just got sad just before that because he said no more M&Ms. No one wants M&Ms.
Also, I realized Chicken accidentally his Indominus Rex is right there, like over your shoulder. Great,
it's not
great
accidentally.
addition.
It's not accidentally.
Oh,
I saw it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's staring at Acrid over here.
Oh, okay.
He's mad that he's second position to Acrid.
Oh, we're evolving the scene
He's
eventually.
second
You know.
Yeah, he's second fiddle. Acrid's got the prime spot. Don't worry, on the next episode, you're gonna see the Indominus like hunting over. It's gonna like spawn back here.
It's just like we're storytelling in the background.
Yes.
Ah, great,
Yes.
great. I mean that's an accidental good segue into the news because we have lots of good storytelling stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're welcome to pick a place and jump in. It's, that could apply to a couple of things, I guess.
Pick a place and jump in. Okay, then we'll just start with the hot thing that is going on these days. The Amazon Fallout series. Pretty good. No spoilers. Don't worry about it. You could listen. We're not talking about it.
Chicken and I haven't finished it yet, so no spoilers for us either.
No, I have. I can't. I don't know if Baka has or not.
Did you finish it?
I finished it.
I thought he said he was finishing it the other day. But
Yeah.
I binged watched that one.
it has been very enjoyable.
It's pretty good.
If we had more time, we probably would binge, but we're having to watch, like, if we can finish up with friend time in the evening early enough, we can watch an episode before bed, but we have to go to bed a reasonable time because, you know, our child gets up at ridiculous o'clock, so.
Yeah. Not fun o'clock, but
Don't miss
so
those
far,
days.
it's been good. It's fun. The characters are great. The storytelling's good. The environments are pretty good. Like, you could tell this show was made with love from the actual Fallout fans.
Yeah.
So I like where it's going. Like I said, I haven't finished it. I've got theories of where it's going, but so far, story's pretty good. Characters are good. Environment's good. Everything in this show is just pretty damn good so far.
It has been a lot of fun.
Yes,
a lot of fun.
Yes.
I like the
aesthetics. And it's the latter part of the entire canon because they're considering this canon.
Yeah,
this is canon, and it's the farthest that we've ever
years,
seen.
I think after the bombs.
297
years.
Yeah. 219 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fallout 4 was
roughly,
217 years.
It was 210 for Fallout
210.
4.
So yeah, this
and
is
then
about a
Vegas,
decade.
I want to say was no. Vegas was before that, and before Fallout 4.
Mm-hmm.
But there's stuff mentioned in Vegas that's mentioned in the series, and it had people concerned, but they clarified that earlier this week.
They clarified it.
I think they called it lore drift, which I think is an interesting way to term things. Since I have not played Vegas, I don't exactly know what has drifted, but I think that's an interesting differentiation between we retcon something versus it's lore drift.
To not use the spoilers, there's a date. I'm saying what date it is that was seen in the background of a scene, and it was before the date in Fallout New Vegas. Now,
That's
people
right.
thought that date was the date of that thing, but the people in Fallout were like, no, it just happens after that date. It could have been right after you played Fallout Vegas. Could have been further than that. That's just, the date they picked, and it's not necessarily the specific date.
I also like that the guy that originally created the Fallout series, so Fallout 1 and 2, came forward and he stated the fact that historians lie, basically, and they lie in this world as well, just like they would, because it's all about who's writing the story, right? And so stuff like that can drift.
Yeah.
I
think
which
that's
I think
an
is
interesting take on it, too.
Yes.
Even though he had nothing to do with the writing of these, it's just like that's just a great take on it, I think, because it allows that world to be more realistic, in that respect. Since you have absurd things that look like they're from the 1950s that are, 50 years from now.
Yeah. It's interesting. Fallout has an interesting timeline anyway, but that show really, like, we are in the golden age of like games going to other media, which is nice.
Finally.
Even though you still have missing like the memes around the Fallout one are like people enjoying the Fallout one and then people in the background cries in Halo fandom because Halo just didn't step up the way that that Fallout has.
Supposedly, the second season of Halo is better than the first season.
Yeah,
but
I've heard that too.
I've still not seen it yet.
I've heard it's better than the first. It's still not great. And that like hurts me because it's like the people who liked Fallout, like who were actually fans of Fallout, were like, I could do this. I like Fallout. I played them. I can do justice to this world. They did justice to the world. Kudos. Why not the same thing for Halo? Like, it's not even that hard of a thing to do either. Like, they've got the story panned out, and yeah, you could do some shifting around for narrative reasons if you want for a different medium, but you really don't have to go that far out.
What I don't understand with the Halo one is the fact that you've got one of the most iconic directors ever that's producing that entire series, which is Steven Spielberg, and you don't bring in a director or at least a team of artists and writers that can actually create that properly. Yeah, like it just blows my brain that's what's happening, because it's like, meanwhile you take a guy that created I think it's he and his wife that created Westworld and moved into this, along with somebody that actually knows the series quite well, which is Todd Howard, coming in and creating an opportunity, and they vetted everything. They would have conversations. What if we do this? And he'd be like, nope, we're doing that in Fallout 5. We don't want any of the stuff to be.
Yeah, Fallout 5 is totally different.
That's the difference right there. It is you have someone who understands and knows the game series and the lore working in Fallout. And yes, you have Steven Spielberg on Halo, but does he understand anything about the universe? Because he's got such a big name behind him, he's going to be calling the shots. So it's going to be whatever he says is going to go, and no one's really going to try to push back and argue with him on it, because they're going to be like, well, it's Steven Spielberg. We're not, regardless if this fits into the video game or not, we'll just do it.
Right.
That does have me have a question that I wanted to ask Baka now. Okay, so Fallout is from the Amazon Studios and whatnot, and we know their other title that they are working on is Warhammer 40K with Henry Cavill, who I'm sure you're well aware is a mega nerd.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mega nerd for Warhammer 40K. Like, brother man is so serious.
Wait, Henry Cavill
he is a fan of the
He's a nerd.
episodes, which interesting enough, got a recent update in their codex, and people are not happy.
I was going to ask you about that. I heard about the fact that they introduced like a female.
You're going to have to explain.
So everybody else knows. The female custody thing is just kind of like, especially to me, it's just kind of like, eh.
That's what I thought, but I don't know anything about Warhammer. I'm like, what does it matter?
Okay, so the whole thing is with it is like the custodies and the Space Marines, because of how they're made. Lore-wise, for years, has been a thing of like only men could be the super soldiers because of genetic reasons.
Okay.
Even though when Warhammer first started, there were female Space Marines. There were models for them, official ones.
Okay. But
Warhammer constantly retcons shit anyway, so to me, it's not a big deal. I actually had when I played Space Wolves before the Necrons launched, and I was like, yeah, undead things. I'm going to those. Because I wanted to play the game, I kind of got stuck into playing with the Space Wolves, because I was like, everyone else is already playing everything else I'd be interested in, and I wanted to have a unique army. I bought a squad of custom-made female Space Marines just to get people pissed off, because I would throw them out on the field and they would just throw a fucking fit.
That's sad. I feel like that's sad.
Yeah, it is, because they're like, well, they can't be female. And so the same thing with the custodies, that they've gone in with the lore recently and added in like a couple of lines of like where they referred to one of them as like she or something like that, and like to make it official that yes, women can be the custodies.
Mm-hmm.
And people are losing the shit. The other thing that they're losing the shit about is the fact that their codex sucks.
Okay.
But
then.
like as far as an army, like they're supposed to be like how Space Marines are like super soldiers compared to like your average human.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They are basically the super soldiers of the Space Marines.
Okay.
Because there's so few of them because
So
they
like
were
special ops basically in the military.
Oh, well, the Space Marines were designed to be made on mass, and these guys are like the ones that were like the Emperor was like, personally, yeah.
They're like the Vanguard.
It took so long to make each one. He was like, well, we need a faster way to do this, so let's use some super glue and some baking soda, and let's do the rest of them.
Okay. That's neat. I guess to bring it back though, do you think that with the success of the Fallout show from Amazon, do you think that means that the Warhammer show is probably going to be on track to be good?
Knowing who's behind it too, like you got a little confidence.
As long as they listen to him, I think that it'll be okay. Okay. The Warhammer fandom, they're going to nitpick it.
Well, that's how every fandom's going to be.
I do not doubt that.
No. You don't understand this, Griff. Like, you think most nerds are going to nitpick shit? What Warhammer nerds for nitpicking are a whole new level.
Look, the Silent Hill fandom is losing their fucking shit right now because Steam updated and James looks slightly different on the picture.
Yeah, but I saw them being happy about it.
People are fucking flipping their shit right now. I know. But that's the thing is they're going to talk about every single tiny detail. Did you notice his pinky was angled slightly askew? Does that mean something? Like, yeah, I'm aware of how nitpicky and crazy fandom can get. I'm sure that there is no shortage of nitpicking crazies in the Warhammer sphere, but that is not exclusive to
universe
them.
too, though, compared to
no, it is not exclusive to them. But
I
my
will,
god, the
yeah,
amount.
I will say, not to be mean to the Warhammer community, I think the toxicity when you take things out of video game form and put it into like a tabletop, like real life version, there's a whole different level of toxicity that stems from that. And those people are going to take it to like a little bit too much. Like, yeah, the rest of us in these fandoms can kind of be like, yeah, we're going to nitpick at things like this. But I think when you step outside of that and like different fandom styles, Warhammer 40K has probably got some real bad eggs. I mean,
they're upset because,
yeah.
This specific race can be also female.
And the other issue is that there are also in 40K a lot of older players that for years have tried to gatekeep every fucking little thing.
Yeah, that's very true too.
And they're the ones that make the biggest and loudest stinks of any kind of retcon of anything.
But it sounds 100%. Like, Warhammer specifically, there's been retcons like every time you turn around. I don't know why they're still shocked. You know?
That's the thing is like as things evolve, they kind of change. And with something like Warhammer 40K, like you've got galaxies, huge things. It's hard to like be so concrete at the beginning that you can never adjust things as you go on. Like,
I mean, it's a game that's been evolving and adapting for years. Like they may have written something back in the 90s that was like a one-line thing, and people took it as gospel, and they went back years later and wrote a novel and clarified more on things or changed things, and these people like they lose their shit over it.
Yes.
And it's like, dude, it was like one line of text from a book like 30 years ago.
Calm down.
And I think that is like the people making this, Henry Cavill and all of them who are making the Warhammer 40K have to remember what the guy who is making Fallout was, because he's also a big fan too. Is like when you go into it, you can't go in trying to appease everybody. Like you're gonna have Fallout nerds that are just hardcore, and you're never like, no matter what you do, you can make it like the perfect thing to them specifically, and they will still hate you for it. So you just kind of have to throw your hands up and be like, I'm going to make something that I want to see, that I would enjoy as a fan.
That's what I was going to say.
There's one thing that canon-wise between Warhammer and Fallout that when it comes to the lore of either one of them, you can finagle it a little bit, because I mean, both of them are almost post-apocalyptic kind of a thing.
Right.
And in Warhammer with the Imperium, there is so much misinformation going around because of incomplete text or data pads or whatever. That is the explanation of like why one thing is supposed to be this way, but one day, and it's like, oh well, we found the other half of this. Now we know the whole story. And it changed, and Fallout it can be the exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get a handful of survivors going, well, it was this way, and then through word of mouth, the story gets altered and changed, and
well, especially with that much time in between your history, you've played telephone with history essentially, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but Warhammer's done it for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Exactly. Between their two major event like timeline things, and so yeah, it gets all fucked up.
I think it's gonna be fine. I think
Henry
it's gonna be good. Be like, I'm making the thing that I want to see, and if y'all don't like it, it's okay.
But there's a fan base behind him, so there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, yeah, this was great, and it may get more people into playing Warhammer and stuff as well. So,
well, and I think you're going to end up with him being involved. Not only are you going to get the continuity for as close as you can with lore, but he also being an actor and understanding how the movie industry works, he's going to try to appeal to a larger mass too to help with that.
And he's starring in it too. So
yeah,
you got to get a hands-on control.
Bridge that gap. Oh, trust me, my wife will watch it in a heartbeat if he's in it.
Yeah,
that's her dude right there.
I'm just curious if he's going to play one of the Primarchs, or is he going to be like just a
dude?
Maybe he. Well, no, he can't be the Emperor unless they're going to go over the whole like Horus Heresy thing.
Honestly, I think they're going to start like. If he is smart, you're going to start small to get people and new people in where it's an easy story to follow in the universe, and then slowly expand it. You can name drop early, but people won't really know exactly what it is. And then as you go on, you can kind of expand the world a little like more, but you want to start kind of funneled a little bit to kind of get people into it, especially the people who don't really know. You don't want to start dropping huge lore bombs and everybody going, huh?
That'll be me. I have no idea, but I'm gonna watch it because I'm interested. So.
Yeah, like I think he'll do it fine. I've got faith in Amazon's ability now. Fallout has been like, good job. Okay, good.
I already know that it's gonna follow someone in the Imperium in some form, fashion, or way. Either the Astro Militaris or a Space Marine.
It's probably going to be Space Marine if I had to guess.
Well,
it's a bit harder to connect emotionally with the Space Marines, though. They're super soldiers, so.
Well, they are.
They did it with Master Chief. All you have to do is take their helmet off and then let them have sex with somebody. And also give them a Chevy Tahoe.
There's been a couple of Space Marine games where even then I was able to kind of, attach to the characters because I like the story that they were building around it, not necessarily the character exactly.
You can, but I'm thinking of like the average audience, though.
That's true. I guess we're gonna have to see how this plays.
And if they go with Space Marines, but what faction is Space Marines? My guess on that would be the Ultramarines, because they're the fucking poster childs of the damn thing.
Probably. I mean that makes sense. Why wouldn't you do that? The one that people have seen the most often.
To me, there's cooler Space Marine factions.
Well, yeah, but all of them. You got to start the people off with like the baby food version and go from there.
Because you're gonna have that one character that maybe for some reason or another doesn't know all the history that's there, or they need to be reminded of the history in order to be able to tell the audience what it is that's happening. Because you're gonna have all that going on too. So you got to start everybody in.
Easier to do it through like a member of the Astro Militaris, like just the normal soldiers.
I mean, maybe they
to go through and learn and experience everything that way.
Well, I imagine you are right about one thing that you said earlier, which is it'll probably pique the interest of people wanting to, try out the game because it is a game that exists. Like, Fallout 76 has the most players it's ever had right now because I guess people watched the show and then went to play the game because it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and it's on Game Pass right there. People watch it and like, I want to go play.
Yeah.
Jump in and play right away.
I mean, even us, we're talking about possibly, setting up a 76 server to play by ourselves because it's on Game Pass and it's, something fun for us to do with our friends for right now. And it's topical. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll have some Fallout 76 stories in the future. But I imagine you're right about that. People will be interested.
As you've noticed, we've talked a lot about other mediums instead of just video games these days, which it seems like a lot of trends is these companies are like, oh, the people are doing it right now. Let's try to step into the other mediums. Which, to be fair, the 20s, there's been a lot more hits.
Yeah.
For video game adaptations than there were in the last decade.
Yes.
So
far, I think the biggest ones for me that I feel like have done it the best is Fallout's doing a great job. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm sure they're not going to crash and burn in the last couple of episodes. The Last of Us was stellar. And the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, even though it was kind of like cheesy, I felt like it stayed true to the cheesiness of that franchise. And I feel like they did a really, really good job with that.
And the Mario movie was pretty damn good. Yeah. And the Sonic movies were pretty damn, both of them.
I liked the Sonic movie until we've had to watch it in our household 75 million times, and I'm just so tired of it.
Don't worry. The second one's going to be on Friday. So.
I know. They're going to start spam showing that because the Knuckles show is about to come out. And then we're going to have to watch Knuckles a million times on Paramount, and then, good God.
Hey, that's fine. These are pretty good shows that they're doing, so I like them. I want to see more of them. So,
well, I think you're finally getting to the point too that the gaming industry and as a whole is becoming more respected, as a medium, and I think that's helping the situation. When you have something like Last of Us, and somebody turns around and goes, "Ooh, maybe we've been doing this shit wrong the whole time.
Yeah,
maybe we need to actually take this serious and try to make sure that we appeal to the people that love it, and then also make sure that we get the actual game makers involved to help out with that too."
My God.
I'd argue that even The Witcher, the first couple of seasons of that did really well, but then they they went kind of crazy. So
but it's based on the book too.
Yeah,
I'll
even
give
then,
it
you've seen it in the games too, though, and I feel like they did a good job of marrying what gamers expect to what the book expected. So.
Yeah, to an extent, and I think that's also another good flag for Henry Cavill. His big falling out was that they just weren't sticking to the content close enough. He is a super fan of The Witcher and was like, this is my role. And to be fair, he played a damn fine Geralt. Damn fine. He was on scene, and you were good. But they kind of just breaking off and doing a different lore, it kind of left a bad taste in his mouth, so he wasn't super interested in anymore. And then that kind of falling out, and then they recast it, and
if you recast in the middle of it, especially after you've had such a successful, and it's not like you recast a side character, you recast literally the main character. That's hard to do mid-franchise or mid-franchise. So, but the Five Nights at Freddy's movies, that sequel is in the works too. Mention to that is.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the Uncharted 2 movie is coming out too at some point.
I
know you're not a fan.
I feel like I don't count. I'm not hating on the movie, but I don't count it because they didn't try to actually stick to what the game was or the series or anything. They just kind of made a whole new thing as amalgamation of some of the stuff that gamers would recognize. But I feel like the other ones have done more to stay true to the series. That it's from.
I think Sonic does the same thing as what Uncharted's doing. I mean, you're just taking the characters.
Sonic doesn't really have a plot line in the first one.
Yeah, Sonic doesn't have a plot line.
Well, but you could have done it in their world, though.
Yeah, to be fair for the Uncharted, there is no way, no offense, there's no way you could have made a good hour-and-a-half movie out of that first game. I love the first game, but oh my God, was it bland, boring, and simple.
I think you could have done it with. I think you could have done it with a TV show, though. I think it would have been
100%.
much more enjoyable as a TV show if you were going to follow the game plot line. But I think that's because it gives you more time.
They would have to change a lot because, again, I played through the first one. It is boring. You have like
it's
a total
not boring,
of 30,
but they would have written more like dialogue.
Yeah, that's
stuff.
the thing is they would have had to write more because there's like 30 minutes of dialogue in that entire game because it's
not
mostly
true.
going from A to
There's
B.
more than that.
There
A
is
to
more
B,
than that.
and
it is A to B, but there is a good plot line in it, and I think that you are glossing over that pretty hard right now.
Okay. I remember that game pretty well. The storyline's pretty simple too, especially when you get into the magic part of things.
Introductory to the series. Yeah, they did kind of.
But that's the point: is that those early games are basic. From the second game onwards, they got pretty good with the storytelling because they kind of expanded it, added more characters, more depth between the characters, and kind of opened up the world a little more, which is fine. That's how it does. But the first game is your basic shooter adventure game.
The first game is a game version of a pumpkin spice latte, is what you're saying?
Yes, basic. Like, it's good.
That would explain why the game came with a pair of Uggs.
Like, the first game is good, but again, games from that era, way back then, were simple. They weren't stuffed to the rim with all sorts of stuff.
For the first time, basically.
Like, exactly. Yeah, and I'm not criticizing it, but I'm saying if you wanted to transfer that over, you'd have to add a lot more to it because it was like a cake with a little bit of frosting on top, and it was good. It was a well-made cake.
It's that difficult to
yeah,
add.
I don't think you'd have to do too much work.
You don't have to add that much that's on there. You could build that storyline a little bit more. Some of the items and stuff that you pick up in the game that are there, you could put something with that to draw you more into whatever the storyline is versus just random shit to pick up. You know, they've got ways of doing it. I'm sure.
But that is why I didn't.
I think you could make like a 10-episode series from the second game onwards, but I think the first game is going to be kind of
do it. I just think that you would have to build in a little more context than what the game gave you for some of it.
Absolutely. 2 whole episodes dedicated jet skis. That's all I'm asking for.
You only get 2 episodes out of the jet skis if it's because I'm playing it and we have to keep resetting because I can't do it. That's the only way you get 2 episodes of jet skis. God, he ran into the wall again. What's he even doing? Is he just walking? Like, what? People are shooting. Why is he just riding into the wall? Well, it's because I'm playing and I can't work it, okay? Fuck off.
It wasn't even that hard when I did it. I just smashed it like it was no problem.
Oh, yeah, I smashed things too.
That's what it is, but it's
not you just smash into yourself.
To be fair, I am exaggerating on quite how bad that was for me, but I did not enjoy it and I was not good at it. So
on this same subject matter. Subject matter.
Okay.
Now that we're talking about all this, what do you want to see? What do you think you want to see maybe something that hasn't been announced yet?
I literally was about to say I want a Gears of War. Like, give me live action Gears of War style. I know that's gonna be really hard with the bulky style of people in it, but I would like and follow the story of the games too. You don't got to change much. Give me violence. Give me gore. Give me some badass.
You would have to do some explaining in the first one on that too, because even though you do have a good storyline, it is a little sparse because it is something that's at the start of the franchise that they didn't know.
It depends if they want to go action heavy in the first season, because if they want to go action heavy, you could do some long sequence action scenes for Gears of War.
I think you almost you could do it 2 ways to the beginning.
I would love to see the Hammer of Dawn in real life.
If you do, like with the Gears of War, you could either start it off to where it starts with a bang, like so where you see these battles happen real quick and then introduce everybody, or you could build it up on what's about to happen and then go into the battle sequences that's there. So you could still build those characters either before or after you see an action sequences there, because you're going to have to do something. Or you do a flashback.
Yeah, build it up. Start at the beginning before E-Day.
Yes.
And then grow. Do almost like what they did in Last of Us, where they bait you into that early part, and then just backhand the shit out of you, and you're like, you're a little stun locked, going, "Wow, really? Yep, well, really."
What I would like is a BioShock series that is based around the book Rapture, which is about the building of Rapture and the lead up to that civil war that happened and all of the events that went down before the first game took place. I think that would be so good. Like, just so fun to watch. Because it's got the right amount of, like, political intrigue and how do you do this, but it's also got the grand kind of cinematic stuff that you want to, that I think is helping with stuff like Fallout, where it's like these big set pieces that are in the background. They're also impressive, because the Wasteland is arguably just as much of a character as something like Rapture is to BioShock. True. The cities and whatnot, it is its own character. You just don't realize it, but it draws you in so much that it is.
I'll say the one thing. First of all, BioShock would be perfect because there's a lot of there would be a lot of character interactions and whatnot and things like that. And the game is old, so I can't say this kind of freely. The problem you would have would be getting attached to characters, because you start off at the beginning of BioShock, like after the fall of Rapture, all of those characters that you would watch, more than likely not going to be there for the second one because of what happens. So
I mean, it is what it is. It would be
almost Game of Thrones style, where you would watch all of this and then just watch it collapse.
Which would guess, be really,
but I mean, really good.
I would look at it though the same way that I would look at like Rogue One for Star Wars, and the fact that we know what's going to happen, and then because we've already watched Star Wars, we know what's going to happen to these people. But it doesn't change the fact that the plot line is really good and is building to a moment.
Okay, first of all, you gave me goosebumps on that, because Halo Reach and like Star Wars Rogue One, those kind of stories where you know what happens, but you get to watch it play out, are fucking brilliant.
But I think that's why that would work, especially for BioShock fans to be able to see. If you haven't read the book,
BioShock fans, yes, but casual fans, it would hurt because they don't know what to expect, and then they
you
end
say that,
with
but there are so many shows that do that these days that you watch those characters like kind of, oh look, I like them, okay, they're dead now. Oh look, I like them, okay, they're dead now.
Not the entire cast.
Not the entire. We just watched Attack on Titan. Talk to me about it. Like,
yeah, but that was over 4 seasons. You get 1 season of these guys before they're gone.
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily. The two biggest players you would still carry on into the series.
Until the end of the
right?
It does.
Yeah, it takes over decades because it's the building of the actual Rapture. So it's going to take in the North Atlantic. So it's like you've got that whole series of, I'm like, you could do 4 seasons of just building and doing all the stuff that's on the background.
I don't know if you'd want to do quite that many, but I think you could break it into 2.
I mean, I was gonna say, I think you could do 2 because you got to introduce the main character, the hero eventually.
Well, I mean, in that specific thing, there's not really a hero.
I said,
Once you got past, like, if they wanted to do BioShock, they do 2 seasons of the prequel, essentially, that the Rapture book, that would lead into the BioShock game, and then you would maybe get somebody that you could consider a hero once you get to the game.
All I want to is, if they're going to do something like that, they need Easter eggs from Infinite 2, because you know as well as I do what happens.
I'm sure if somebody was doing that and it was somebody that cared about the franchise, they would.
You would have you might even see characters that, like, you are like, is that them? And then it's just a one-off character that, like, you notice it, and then further on, like, you could get into real good storytelling if you do these little Easter eggs that make it worth watching. It'll
allow you to be able to set up the other BioShock games too.
Yes.
So and because Infinite gets weird.
Infinite does get
especially if you don't
weird.
know anything about the first 2 games, like you don't know about Rapture and whatnot. The end of Infinite's like, what's happening here?
Oh man. Like, kudos to the storytelling though. Like, good God, the wraparound that they try to do, or that they do for it, is just something else. But yes, BioShock is a fountain of good storytelling. Like, so much in there that is capable of telling.
Yeah, you just gotta be careful.
Gears of War 2, please give me Gears of War 2. Give me, like, I don't know. A lot of these shows don't do a lot of, like, heavy action sequences, but so maybe Halo does a little better with it. But I know that was one of the complaints in season 1, where, like, there was some battling, but it was kind of not as much.
Yeah, there's battling now, and they chose to do action sequences plus add a CGI over the action sequence they did and make horrible cuts on some of the stuff that I've seen. Just because I watch Corridor Crew on YouTube because I love watching them react to CGI, and they reacted to one of the scenes, and I was like, oh, that's awful.
Oof.
It was not good. And it's like, I love the fact that they're trying to do that, but nope.
I think, and this kind of ties into one of the other things that was in the news too, but I think trying to do a Dead Space show would also be fun. But you'd have to do it as a show. But a horror, like a psychological horror show like that, that'd be...
It would be probably one of the scariest shows ever made.
It would be.
Not even going to lie.
For what one?
Dead Space?
For Dead Space.
If you made that into Dead Space game into a TV series, yeah.
Okay, first of all, they've done the 2 animated movies, and that shit is, like, graphic and horrific. Like, that shit
it is scary just in cartoon form.
Yeah.
Like, having it realistic, oh my God.
It's like, and people who have watched The Thing and how, like, awful and monstrous that is, this is like that on steroids. It is just awful. For I would love to see Isaac in it too, like, because both of the shows take you right up to the first game and then cut it off, and then basically you could load up the game and continue on the story exactly right afterwards, which is kind of a little heartbreaking, because again, it's another one of those Rogue One, Halo Reach style where you know what's going to happen and you know nobody's safe, but you watch it anyway.
I definitely want all of these as TV shows from somewhere like Amazon or HBO Max. Netflix
has been hit or miss, but they're focusing on animes,
which is like fine. Live action animes, they're doing okay with that. I say let them keep at it. Live action animes, and oh my God, the amount of like K-dramas there, which are really good, by the way. Not saying they're bad. There's just so many that Netflix are just like shoving out. But I would want these game, media transfers to go to, a Max or an Amazon instead, because it feels like they put more effort into them. Not that Netflix is like, oh, we just tossed the junk out, but some of it does kind of seem that way.
Well, and I hate to be this way about it, but I think everybody knows this. Netflix has a history of making a show that's really good
and then canceling it immediately. Yes.
So it's like, why? Why are you this way? So it's like, I would much rather, or even Apple. Apple would do a great job on, I think 3 of those would be good. Apple's got good, but you're going to get more of a mass with going with Max or going with Amazon. Mm-hmm.
You would have to put out really good like something freaking amazing to convince me to sign up for the Apple one, just because there's not as much there that I want to see. So I would prefer.
Right. I'm just saying they make good shows. I'm not saying that, it's going to appeal to the masses for sure.
Speaking of adaptations, to jump into one of the other articles, since they've made the Barbie movie and that turned out to be really well, Margot Robbie is producing the Monopoly movie. Which, first of all, I think a movie like that is going to be so meme-worthy. If they do it right and they just lean into the cheesy style, which I'm not going to say Barbie is cheesy, but they kind of went meme style on it and made it goofy and fun with also some like social commentary in there too, like real commentary. I think you could do the same thing with a Monopoly movie and just kind of lean into the
I'm interested to see
fun.
How that's going to work though, because like they did a really good job with creating a world for Barbie and then creating the real world and the fact that there's a connection between the two. So when you're dealing with Monopoly, are you making Wall Street and with the little dude with the little monocle, or
there has to be a dude with the top hat?
The comments are like, they've got to get Jack Black to pay Milbourne money bags or penny bags. Chris Pratt is the iron. Pedro Pascal is the top hat. I expect to see a lot of obvious cheating by whoever plays the bank. Like, if you don't do these things. Like,
oh yeah, they got to, and they got they have to have like little like keychains or whatnot with their piece on them, so that
have to. If you don't give them their pieces from the game, I will be so mad.
Go the old school like stoplights used to have like the little arm that came down. It was one say stop and one would say go.
Yeah.
You have it to where somebody comes by and when they pass one that goes, somebody just randomly hands them $200.
Yeah, like how do you do that? What do you do about free parking?
It's gonna be a whole city block. It's going to be a whole city block, and it's going to be like, oh, I bet I could buy more of this city. I bet I could buy more of this city than you can. Well, no, I can. And then they're going to like fight to buy all of these different properties around this city.
And it ends every friendship.
4 train stations.
Yeah.
Yes. It just goes through.
All of a sudden, it's a residential area, but there's a hotel being put in for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even do
it's like,
this?
did I just get passed by a shoe?
Do they argue over how to handle free parking? Because that's usually an argument.
Yes, you have to. Like I said, there are so many chances to just meme this movie.
What happens when they go to jail? Does somebody actually get a get out of jail free card?
Right.
Yeah, they're gonna the cop's gonna pull up and be like, "Hey, man, you were speeding. I'm gonna have to take you in." And they just pull out their wallet, and whatnot. And they gotta get out a free jail card. He's like, "Oh no, I can't argue with this. I guess you're gonna have a nice day," and just leave. That people will legitimately try
it's
that.
It's got to be like they're living in that world, right? Like
yeah, it would have to be like a lawyer's card, and it just says get out of jail.
Yes, signed the lawyer. Yes, that's all. It's just gonna be the lawyer.
Located at 100 Baltic Avenue. You know, like
the movie will either be a really fun runaway hit because it's so memey, or it will be absolute garbage. It will be absolutely at one end of the spectrum or the other. There will be no in between on that.
I just here's the thing is I don't feel like Margot's gonna allow her name to be on something that's complete garbage.
Now, I would hope not, but
I mean, because Barbie, everybody was questioning, really, they're gonna do a Barbie movie. Remember when we all first saw the shots for the first time, and we're all like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be a thing." And then once the reviews started coming out, people were watching it, or even the trailers, we're like, "Okay, this could be fun," because it's being the camp that we think of. And then having watched the movie, I was like, "Holy crap, this is a really good movie."
Yeah.
That just knows what it is. It knows it's funny.
Yes, that's what this movie has to do too. It has to know it's funny. It's not trying to be serious.
Now, they did do weird things behind the scenes. I don't know if you heard that or not. You know that most of that movie is all green screen.
Oh, okay, yes.
Okay, so in the behind the scenes, they green screened that out poorly and still put the stuff behind the actors in the scene when they didn't need to. It's like it's a behind the scenes. We know how movies are made. What why are you doing that?
Because
and they had the little green outline around the outside of them or whatever. You know, like it was poorly done.
Well, we'll see. I mean, if this is something that's like just getting announced, it's going to be years before anything comes from that. So.
Oh yeah.
We'll see. Oh, also, I meant to mention when we were talking about the Dead Space thing, the Dead Space sequel rumors. Yeah, all that's gone. Don't.
Yeah, the remake.
No,
Dead Space
no more
2.
Dead Space for you.
Sounds nice. Boo.
Boo. I forgot to mention it when I was talking about Dead Space earlier. My bad.
That's fine.
Sorry.
What else do we have to talk about?
I mean,
the last thing is live service games.
Yeah, like that one is going to be
so
a discussion.
So unfun.
70% of all developers are concerned in one way or another, whether that's just slightly concerned or majorly concerned, or whether or not there's a sustainability for live service games. And it's kind of interesting when you start looking at the numbers. They're one of the things
they say. Weird to get a Eurogamer article with pie charts on it. Carry on.
That is kind of weird. That the main concern about the sustainability is that players losing interest in the live service games themselves. And I think that's a complete possibility. I mean, most people don't like live service games. I think that Fallout 76 started off that way, and now it's gone to where you can get your own server.
With this recently, even of watching the crew, Ubisoft pull the crew completely. You've got people with their physical discs; they can't do anything with it. You have shaken the market a bit now, because even the games that you've paid for and acknowledge are live services are now very realistically being taken away. So I think that makes people a little more concerned about not putting their money into it in the first place. Because some people are, very concerned about, this is my game, I have paid for it, I will keep it. Now you will not keep it.
Yeah, and the original Crew came out 10 years ago. It was 2014, so it was out for 10 years, and now we're up to Crew 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crew 2 came out in 2018, and then the Crew Motorfest came out last year. And I get it, you're trying to push everybody over, but I think what you do from a standpoint of, you bought this game, you own a disc, you go, hey, we're now on 3. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give you a free copy of 2. And you know what I mean?
You just like walk them up, I guess.
Yeah, you just walk them up a level. So it's like, at least if you need to get rid of those servers, I get it. Maybe there was, 1,000 people playing or something, it's not worth keeping them open, but
yeah.
push them up a level and just
that,
say, hey,
that right there is a conversation I saw, because I saw the Friday the 13th community talking about this. Like, I think that like games need to come with an offline playability or a peer-to-peer. If it's multiplayer or peer-to-peer, like if you stop supporting the game, fine, you can't afford it, but I bought it, I should still be able to play it or host it myself. Like I shouldn't completely lose the ability to play the game at all.
I think you're correct when you're thinking of a game like Friday the 13th or one of those style games. I think when you're dealing with more of a live service game like The Crew, where it's that world is
thing.
So massive, it's got to sit on a server.
Then force me to rent it instead of paying for it outright.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that's why you give them a free copy of The Crew too. And if you've already bought it, I'm sorry.
Or something, because like you decided you're done supporting this game because it's not making me money, and I could agree that's perfectly fine. But why do I lose? Like, I'm basically out that money. Like, and I bought it. I didn't rent it from you. I bought it from you, but now I can't use it anymore.
Yeah,
it's basically be like getting a washer and being like, well, you paid for it, but we're stopping service and not making these anymore, so we're shutting it off permanently, and you've got to buy a new one. It's like,
well, and I guarantee you now, probably not when The Crew first came out, but I guarantee you now, any of these games, when you first come in and they make you hit the little sign, the button, read all the stuff, and hit the button, it's part of what you're signing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
As you understand, by paying $70 for this game, you do not actually own it, and at any time we can decide to shut these servers down.
Which is why I will, like, if you want to do something like that, cool. Stop making me pay for it and just do a subscription service where it's like $2 a month, or $10 a month, and you have 7 months to decide if you want to keep paying for it, and they have 7 months to make their money back from the game. And then they can make extra money if you keep playing it after those 7 months or something like that.
Well, one of the things that we look at now is live service games are freaking everywhere. So part of the problem is every developer is competing with every other developer all the time because there are so many games that launch like every month, even if. And we don't talk about them as much anymore just because we, as the age group that we have our tastes and our things that we look at. It's hard to be excited about 47 games coming out in the next 30 days, but they're all competing with that, and they all have battle passes, and they all want you to come, sign in every day and do the thing and all of that. And I feel like it lowers your quality some to have that, because you're having to take a bunch of stuff, put it behind an idea of, well, we're keeping this for next battle pass, we're keeping this for next battle pass, we're keeping this for next battle pass. You got to keep signing in and playing. Don't sign into the other game over there. I know that there's a shiny new one that came out, but you need to come back to me because I need your eyeballs on me. So I think we're getting to a saturation issue too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone is competing for your time.
So and one of the comments on that article is discussing whether or not it would be more beneficial for games to go back to a paid DLC as opposed to constant battle passes. So you just put out a paid DLC every once in a while instead of a battle pass every 6 weeks.
But that's just okay. Battle passes are just paid DLCs.
I mean, they kind of
just
are.
in a different name.
I guess with paid DLC you would unlock the content at once instead of it being, you play 37 games and get a spray. Yeah. You play 37 more games and you get a skin that you don't care about for a character that you don't play. I guess some of it is that too.
Yeah, because if I pay for the battle pass, and let's say you got to get to a level 100, most of them go to 100. You got to get to a level 100, and I only get to 50 during the time span that I have the battle pass. I miss out on everything that's there, even though I paid for the battle pass. Where I think she's correct in the fact that if I do DLC, I get everything that comes with that 100 that's there. But this is your big but. You play the game constantly. The game company can reward you for those people that didn't buy the battle pass or the DLC in another manner. Maybe unlocking more sprays or whatever it happens to be, and give them an option for rewarding them for playing the game that they purchased as well. And then you're rewarding the people that want to pay the extra money with that microtransaction that's a DLC.
I do see the point that one of the other comments makes is we can't do DLC map packs anymore because it splits the audience, and you can't if you start dividing your audience like that, that's when you start losing people. And I don't disagree with that, but I feel like that's kind of a problem the industry threw on itself by doing it.
Well, I feel like Halo did a good job with that, though, because I feel like what Halo did was they went, all right, look, you've got like, I think it was 3 months after the maps came out before they even started introducing the new maps on a regular thing, and you had your own. If you had those maps, then you had your own that you could go into and play that way. But as for a whole, those others weren't introduced in rotation yet, and so it gave you that option. I think they did that real well. Now, again, it was a different time.
Yeah.
It was definitely a different time. But they're going to have to figure out something that's on there. I'm sitting over here looking just out of curiosity, based on like games with service or whatever. Minecraft's the top selling game of all time, with over 300 million sold.
Right.
Which I wouldn't really call game with service. I just call
it's not a game with service. Games like that are community driven, and that right there is how games stay alive. Is like Left 4 Dead 2 is still alive because
and you can play it single player with no problem, no issue. It's on there. Grand Theft Auto 5, their multiplayer their online really has driven that. But their single player is really, really good. That's what originally sold it.
I think part of their sales are from toxic people. Like, they are very casual with their banning styles. Like, if you do anything wrong, they're just like, ban, buy a new copy, and everybody fucking buys new copies regularly. Right. So,
well, you've got Tetris, top single game of all time when it comes to that, with over 100 million. But it's also a really old game too. Wii Sports, which was a great party game, is still up there on the list. Of course, you've got Mario Kart, another party game. Red Dead Redemption 2 is in the top 6. Looks like 7. It's number 7 on the list. Single player game. We know the multiplayer wasn't the reason it was sold because it died.
Yeah.
They didn't support it for shit though.
No, they didn't.
So 61 million sold, and it was on single player alone. Because they built a really good game that a lot of people get into and they can get lost into. And then of course you've got like Super Mario Brothers and stuff like that. But I feel like they're putting so much money into creating a game with service to be able to have almost that mobile money coming in with the constant amount of microtransactions and everything. They're not thinking about how much it costs them to run the servers they're running. When they can put that single player in. I mean, think of the Spider-Man, all 3 Spider-Man games that have come out recently have done quite well, great reviews, really good quality games. But once you play them, you got a replay value that's there, but you're not sitting there worried about, a server shutting down. I can play that game whenever I want.
That's a huge draw for some people, is just being able to access the game after the fact.
Yeah.
Well, and you got recently Phil Spencer making the comment that they were trying to make sure that everything was backwards compatible from now on. So that allows for that longevity to be there as well. So I can't blame developers for that, but I think the problem with them is that they are looking at money first and not longevity first.
Yeah.
And how much money can we make right this second?
I definitely think there's a disconnect on that, where it's like, how do we make the best live service game so that we can make a ton of money right now and then also forever because people will play it forever, right? No. It's like, so they're kind of letting things fall by the wayside for the single player, which, I mean, some single player games like you're talking about do really knock it out the park. So
right.
How do you do both? Why not both?
Why not both?
I keep thinking about like one of the biggest single player games that has a huge longevity to it, but it's not, because my brain's like, well, GTA 5 still, people are still playing that like crazy, but they're playing the online part of it, which is the live service. But then how do you,
or they're doing the
that?
role play to it.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is like, how do you recreate that? That's because
community-driven games are how you do it. And like, even the Diablo 4 community isn't even doing it. Path of Exile has stayed alive for years. Diablo 4 is just kind of like really not there, because first of all, I will tell you, their little bullshit trick for the fucking battle pass bullshit
for Diablo.
Yeah, a lot of us, whenever you see a notification icon, you're like, I need to check that to get rid of it, because it's like, your eye is automatically drawn to it,
yes,
right?
Please
You're
get
like,
off my screen.
I can't get the bubble off.
Yes.
I can't handle the red bubble.
Right. I was driven fucking mad because it popped up on my screen and it takes me. It's like, oh yeah, you popped it up, and then it gives you the whole menu thing, and it's like over on the battle pass. There's a little notification. I was like, okay, cool. Did I unlock something? I looked through that entire goddamn thing for about 20 minutes, and I was like, there's nothing here. So I went online and they're like, yeah, it just gets stuck there sometimes. I personally believe that it's on purpose, like so that they can keep drawing you back to it over and over again, because I've looked through it and mine gets stuck up there. Like I go through everything and it never goes away. I've looked through everything and it doesn't go away.
Disney's Dreamlight Valley has that same thing. There's one that'll get stuck that's on there, and I'm convinced. It doesn't do it all the time, but I'm convinced it happens right around the same time that they haven't updated the game or something like that. And you go to click, and I'm like, oh,
yeah. And it's just sitting there, and I'm like, is that for the fucking battle pass thing, or did I actually unlock something different in the damn menus?
You know,
nope, it's battle pass. Drive me insane.
Exo Primal was the other way around. You, like, at the end when you're loading out of the game, it's like, you unlocked this on your survival pass. I had to go looking to find the survival pass because they do not put it somewhere that you can just be like, I unlocked something. Where's that at? What is it? You have to go on the main screen. It's not. You have to go into your career, and then it's one of the tabs in the career thing. You have to go look for that thing. It's like, that's okay. I mean, that's fine. That's what a weird way to hide your battle pass. I thought you would want this to be kind of central so that, one, when I get the notification that I unlocked something, I can go look at it. And two, so that people are like, oh, they've got a battle pass. Let me see what's in it. You know?
This is gonna be controversial.
Uh-oh.
Oh God.
Capcom, I think, does their microtransactions style right. I've played a lot of Resident Evil games, and I know the Dragon's Dogma thing just spurred up and everybody lost their shit over it, but seeing their other games, that is normal. Like, they give you the ability for people who want shortcuts to pay for the shortcuts,
but
which they did the exact same thing. They did the exact same thing in Exo Primal. If you want to skip leveling up the suits, you can go buy them directly.
Yeah. Which one's a multiplayer one, but I guess
again it
doesn't give you an advantage.
No, it's just time. It's just time. Like, you pay to save time. That is like Capcom's mentality these days. You pay to save time.
Although I will say some of it, because when Devil May Cry 5 came out, that was one of the big things is you could buy the version of the game that came with a bunch of the red orbs, but to me, that is wild that you would want to buy it because you earn them, like, just so easily. Like, they're just everywhere.
You pay to save time.
It's so wild.
You load it up for the first time and you level up your character.
Though.
No, you start off super strong so that you can kind of just play through the game easier. Like, you pay for convenience, which is Capcom's motto. Like, you can play it normal. You can get everything that you can buy. It just takes time to play the game. If you don't want to, go ahead and buy it. Give us money. You can have it. Otherwise, just play it. Like they don't offer you any advantages or special treatments or special things because you could either buy the special stuff or just earn it yourself. So I think that's a better way to go about it instead of like battle passes in your face or tons of microtransactions and things like that. Like, theirs are just kind of like, you're not missing out on anything if you don't buy anything. Like, if you actually like playing the game, you're going to get everything anyway. But if you want a shorter experience, just pay for it and you get a shorter experience.
I prefer that. Because it used to be when we would play, and we've talked about this before, when we'd play a video game, especially if they had a multiplayer to it, if you beat the campaign or you beat the campaign on a particular difficulty or whatever, it gave you something that you could show off to everybody that you're playing multiplayer. Exactly. But, having the option to be able to turn around and go, you know what? I want it a little bit easier for myself to be able to play through that. You still got to play the game at the end of the day.
Yep.
You still got to go through and you got to beat it. And let's say that one of those unlocks is because you're playing Legendary on Halo or whatever it happens to be. You still got to play on Legendary on Halo at the end of the day, which is not an easy task.
Exactly.
So, it's just I feel like they're just trying to throw freaking noodles at the damn wall and figure out what sticks at the end of the day, I guess. And it's just, and I think it's part of the reason we're having the problems with the industry now that we're having anyway. is because they don't know how much money they have coming in to be able to make the next game because there's not a finite amount that's there.
Yeah.
It's the same reason that Embracer Group runs into the problem that they ran into. They didn't have a finite amount of money. They just decided to purchase based on a promise.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just, I don't know. I just, now I'm done with my rant, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to end that one.
Just play on PC and then you can get all the mods you want. You don't have to pay for the stuff.
The modding community also is like a lifeline for your games. And also, I will say early access is the shit. Like, if you are a fresh coming game or you're just now getting out there, early access. It brings you some money in, lets your audience into the doors early, and you can help.
I would just like to point out he's also the anti-early access guy that's saying that.
I would literally
was
watching an article.
His opinion on that, though.
I was literally reading an article earlier about it was from True Gaming, and they're like, "Oh, early access is like the greatest things that's happened in our industry." And you had these people debating back and forth. Like, some people are like absolute sticklers. They play the game once, period. They do not ever touch the game again. They are very strict about it. So they do not do early access because they don't ever want to experience the game until it is fully done, which, a lot of people were on that boat. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's your style. And other people are like, I love it. I love being able to help the developers. I love giving them money early so that it helps them, deliver a game that they view and things like that. And it's like, okay, two good, ideas. Like, these are two good viewpoints that I can understand. I think, and my opinion has changed over the years, I think early access has grown into a place, especially on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is Game Pass. They just do early or game previews, but on Steam, you got to buy access to an early access game, which is fine. You help out the developers, especially these single A and double A studios. Or college students who are just making games, or people who have very specific visions of what they want to make, and you kind of help them along and give them feedback and watch their great game grow into this bigger thing, so that when they release, they get a second release. You get your early access release, build some hype, everyone's cool, you watch it go, and then you get your second release, which you re-hype your audience, plus you've got a bunch of fanboys and girls in the back going, this is great, which draws more of an audience.
Yes.
So, like, early access has its place in this day and age.
I don't disagree. I think I've always said that it has its place. I think the problem that we ran into in the past was the bad taste in our mouth. I think for everybody was Ark.
Yes,
because you had a great idea that was being worked on. We understood why the bugs were there, the rubber banding, everything that happened with that game, the issues with 9 million dinosaurs being in one little section, whatever. When everybody's frame dropped to 1, but. But the thing that frustrated all of us is I think it was $30 when we first paid for it or something like that. It was a cheap amount.
30 or 40, something like that.
And then
it was $30.
And then like 8 months later, they release a second Ark, basically, that was the one that was in the desert.
The DLC stuff.
The DLC stuff that you would have had to pay another $30 for, and they kept doing that, and then eventually they released the full game that had
they were launching DLC without fixing some of the intrinsic problematic bugs. Right. And that was what everybody was upset about, is like, why should I spend another $30 on this thing that you're releasing in early access as well, when you haven't fixed the early access problems that we've told you, like, that you're well aware of,
And you can't give me that we don't have enough money bullshit either. Like, Ark was huge.
Well, and then they charged for full price when it came out for $60, and it had 4 of the DLCs with it, or 3 of the DLCs with it. So it was the main game plus the other 3 DLCs that were their own little thing. And when you did that, you just pissed off a bunch of people because they're the ones that helped play test your entire shit, and they paid $120 if they bought the thing, and you're gonna half the price you're gonna give to a brand new player. And so you pissed a bunch of people off with that, and it's like,
well, and even then there was problems that they had at the start of that game that they just never addressed. Like, they're like, yeah, we know, and they kept launching DLC and things like that, and new dinosaurs, and it's like, stop, fix the thing that's broken. And
I liked adding the new dinosaurs. That was good content to keep kind of filling out the game. That was fine. But the DLC for an early access game, no. finish your game, launch the full version,
and then
with
the DLC
if you want to, but it has to, like, you got to focus on your game early, get it running and fixed. Then you can.
And the mod community was helping keep it alive too, because people were able to, like, there was no reason to release any other DLC because people were still buying the game.
Oh hell yeah!
And then they continue to make poor decisions like that. That's the reason that Arc 2's delayed. So it's, I just, which is going to be released in early access. Everybody knows that.
Oh
right?
yeah, it's definitely going to come out in early access, and they'll probably release a few DLCs while it's in early access still.
It's just. It just irritates me to no end that's what it was. But I mean, and then you had Rust that was in early access for like 7 years or some stupid crap.
I mean, 7 Days to Die is still in early access, and it's like been there for a decade.
Yeah,
it's just one of those perpetual beta games.
Yeah, I think that was going to be one of the things that originally would have held early access back, was that kind of behavior of, will this game ever come to fruition? Will we ever get it? Is this going to be abandonware in like 2 months after everybody's bought into the early access? Because you did have games that were like Rust and things where they weren't abandonware, but it was perpetually in early access. It's never going to see a full launch. You have no timeline on it. But I think we've come a long way from that. And games that launch in early access, a lot of them launch with roadmaps now, so that you can kind of like see what the developer is planning to do, where they're at, and what they want out of it, instead of it just being like, hey, you there, buy my game. It's broken, isn't it? Well, yeah, but you're going to help me make it better, aren't you? Well, here's some money. Okay, see you later. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't feel as risky anymore.
Well, but that's the thing too, is that it's because of the fact that we're going with this live service model, it's having to create early access because of the fact that their servers, they've got to have the money coming in to run the servers and be able to run it at the level they do. Where if you have a single player game in-house, you can have testers. You're not having really that as an issue. So it's they're creating their own problems, but like you said, at least it generates revenue for these independents that are 1 to 10 people basically.
And man, have we not seen some great stuff come out of that? Phasmophobia in early access with one guy working on it, huge, like just huge. I mean,
and he did the right thing. He hired people to change some of the assets to make them more it needs to, and continue to create content, which was great.
Yeah, I mean, Pal World, like 5 people. The people that doing the art assets were like some kid that they met at the gas station, essentially. So, I mean, we've gotten some really huge things out of early access. It's not just pump and dump that it used to be,
Well, people are a lot more critical too, and like, again, on Steam, it's like the shit. If a game comes out in early access, people are 100% willing to go, this game is trash, or these developers are shit. They're just cycling the ware and they're assholes to the community. Don't bother. Just move on. Yeah. Or, hey, these guys are super communicative. The game is a little rough right now. It's got bugs, but they're supportive. They're working on it, and they're very talkative. So they know what they're doing. If you want to support them early, go ahead and buy it now because it looks like it's good. It's like, okay, cool. I love it. It's like on Steam, every page has its community that is like very vocal to that game, so you know exactly what you're getting into.
It doesn't have to be just for indie devs. I can think of at least 2 games right now, one that we've already talked about in this episode, that would have 100% benefited from being an early access title from a major developer. Fallout 76 should have been an early access game. Would have been fine in early access. People would have been a lot more forgiving. I'm glad that it's worked out for them in the long run. Could have really not. The second game that should have come out in early access, that stupid Skull and Bones game, should have been an early access game, but was not ready for full launch. Yep. Like, quadruple A, go fuck yourself, Ubisoft. That was an early access game, for real.
Yeah, that's the big oof.
And that's the thing is, like, people will be more forgiving on an early access game coming out in that condition. So
as long as you're not priced at like $60 for early access,
like,
Well, but I mean, I think that's what you're supposed to do. Is you're supposed to give benefit. Like we put in early access, you go in at a lower price because it's not a complete thing.
Yeah, early access is basically the community paying you to test your game instead of you hiring a bunch of game testers.
Right, and then all you do is on your launch day, you do a launch day price for a week or whatever, that's the same price that everybody paid in early access, and then you raise the price to $10 or whatever, and every time there's a sale, you lower it back down again. I mean, at least that way, everybody's kind of paying for a finished product if they want it because their friends are playing it or whatever, or or they want to buy it for their friend because they're playing it, and they're enjoying it. It's just, I don't know. The early access thing it was, like you all said, it was bad at the beginning, but I think it's gotten a lot better.
Yes, it has gotten a lot better. The market has gotten, like in the indie market, has gotten better about what they're showing or how they're doing. And Steam has offered an incredible platform for newer developers to kind of get their feet into the market. And like, I mean, we've just got to praise Steam for how well it does things. Like, there's a reason they're not afraid of anybody. Like, they created a platform that is great.
Yep.
It offers so much to everybody, and especially indie developers too. Like, they've got a place where you can go that is fully open to the entire market and show off your new product, and they will absolutely help you. They will feed your game into people who play similar games like that. I see so many ghost hunting games now. Like, oh my goodness. At the bottom, it's like trending for games that you like. And it's so many games, so many ghost games, so many hunting games, like the multiplayer style games. I mean, that's how I find some of them too. It's like just scrolling through. It's like, oh, and look at that one. That one looks kind of neat.
That's how you found Ghost Exorcism Inc. is because you had been playing Phasmo and it recommended it to you. And that is like that's my jam. I love that game so much. And it has a similar level of jank about it. But it's just,
I think it's jankier, to be fair.
Some of it, some of it is for sure.
I think there's some really cool like certain parts of that game that are really cool, but like I'm talking about like graphically and stuff like that. It doesn't. It's enjoyable for me to play, but I laugh at some of the stuff that like.
It is an early access game though.
Oh yeah. Fair enough.
That one is early access. So,
is Phasmo still early access?
No.
Yes, it is.
Phasmo? It's launched.
Yes.
I thought it had its full launch.
No, girl.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm going to the Steam store page right now. Nope, you're right. It's still an early access.
They have not released.
I'm sorry. I guess because it went to console and everything. I just assumed.
It's not even. I don't even think it's on console yet.
They had talked about on console.
They had flood. They had that flood, or the place got burned down, or something in August when they were gonna release it, and they had to like rebuild it. But yeah, the game you will not recognize after 1.0. All the assets are going to change. All the character stuff is going to change. They're adding entirely new horror elements and things like that. Like, it's going to be an entirely different game, visual wise, when it's fully released. And somewhat gameplay wise. So, but yeah, it's not done yet.
Interesting.
It's still got a while.
Okay, well, I guess I don't know why I thought. Okay, well, whatever.
That's crazy that you thought it was released.
I did.
Like, oh my goodness!
I thought Kat and I had talked about it going to console. And I thought
that doesn't mean it's released. It's gonna be.
Well, no, I thought that meant it was like launching.
That it was hitting your 1.0 at that point.
Yes.
Oh no,
I just didn't realize. I don't keep up with the patch numbers as well as you guys do, I guess. So I'm sorry. I'm just waiting on them to introduce the.
I'm sorry, Mr. Man. I'm sorry.
Shut up. Shut up, you. But yeah, early access, pretty great place these days. A lot less scary.
It's a pretty good place. Yeah, it's a good place to start.
A lot of these games you're getting for, I've seen some from $5 or less to like $15-$20.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that. One of the complaints that people like to lob now is, oh, this is just one of those stupid YouTube games you get for $10 on Steam, because they're mad about things like content warning and Lethal Company, and they feel like it's taking away from their AAA like Call of Duty-esque games because it's stuff like that they consider YouTube trash games.
Yeah.
And it's like, people are playing them because they're fun and they enjoy them. Don't shit on them for that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Find a better reason to be upset that Call of Duty is not knocking it out of the park right now.
I will point to two things that made this style of game explode so much.
Price is
Among Us, and COVID. Yep. That combination blew up the indie market party game style, because after that point, everybody was looking for the next thing that we could play with our friends and be goofy as shit, or just like, it doesn't even have to be entertaining other people. You could just be goofy with your friends, or have some crazy content, or just do some fun shit. Like Lethal Company is so basic,
but
it's a ton of fun when you play with your friends because of the random shit that can happen.
Oh god, yeah.
I live for hearing yippee in the distance, and I know that's a mod, but it makes my life complete.
I mean, last night we were playing Content Warning, and Griff, of course, died to the bomb monster again.
Cat goes, I wonder if we're going to see one of those bomb monsters. There it is.
It pops up behind us and then throws a bomb. Griff has a 100% death rate. Every time one shows up, she dies, guaranteed.
It threw the bomb. I saw where it hit the ground, so I ran around to the other side of the room behind a column, and when that bomb blew up, I'm the only one that died. Baka was closer to it. Cat was closer to it. I don't even think Cat was behind a column. I was behind cover, and I'm the only one that died. Do you understand?
But yeah, so we were dying at that because it was funny as shit. And then we go a little bit further, and I open a door, and I hear Baka go, "Oh shit!" and I disappear. He goes, "Oh shit!" and I just disappear. I didn't even know how I died. I just my screen went boom. And then I'm just doing the hovering over somebody thing because I'm dead. I'm like,
Do you know that that kind of fast death has only ever happened to me when I hear Baka go, "Oh shit," and then I'm dead, and nobody else is him. I think he does it. I think he's got a kill button.
And then I hear Baka and Cat go, "Chicken,"
kill button,
chicken.
Yeah, hearing your friends looking for you when you know you're dead.
Gone. My body wasn't even there anymore. That motherfucking monster kidnapped me and took me away immediately.
But I think that's why these games are also successful, is because you get storytelling like this when you're talking to your other friends, because you don't have to put your little try hard hat on for these games, and you're not going in to win. You're going in to have a good time. I mean, I'd also want to successfully complete the day and get the view quota for Content Warning, or get the money quota for, our stuff with Lethal Company, but it's kind of just for fun. It's less pressure. I don't have to go in and be like, I have to be better than everybody else at this game right now.
I feel like that's going back to that Call of Duty model. I think that's what people forgot. That's what that used to be. It used to be you go in with your friends, have a good time, go shoot up some people, kill. Same thing with Halo, right? We'd all go in, we'd have a good time, enjoy every bit of it.
Oops.
Yeah, well, you were very competitive. But,
I can't play those games without trying to be good.
You go in and enjoy it, and what ends up happening with this, it's one of those where you still can have that moment of enjoying it, but because you don't have the 12-year-old on the other side of you that's trying to, that's cheating or whatever they happen to be doing. You don't have to worry about it. And as adults, I mean, we don't want to deal with that crap anymore.
Some of it is adults. Some of it is the toxicity level. It just got too much. So it's hard to have a good time in games that are competitive because you do have so many toxic people. And it does foster that, it's a competitive game. So you have the competitive nature that comes along with it. These games are not. They're cooperative party games that you're just fucking around in. And I think that's it just infuriates me that people are mad about that. The YouTube trash games. It's but they're fun. And if you didn't have such a stick up your ass about it, you'd probably enjoy it too. Maybe you need more friends. Maybe that's the problem, is you don't have a friend group to cut loose with. Some of these games have really great communities where you could find some friends to play with. And it would be a lot of fun. Yeah, but the problem is
those open communities, and I've looked through a lot of indie games. I've looked through a lot of indie games. Problem is, these open communities are they have toxic.
Yeah, it definitely gets that toxic side to it, because even Phasmo has that.
I'm gonna put my old man hat on here.
Off my lawn.
Multiplayer games back in the day were so much better than open party games nowadays. Back in the day, you would have assholes for sure.
Let's asterisk that. If you were a dude, it was a lot easier for you to have fun in those games. If you were a female, speaking as a female trying to play those games, it was a lot harder.
it's so much worse now. Like people don't hold back.
I definitely think that it is worse now. I do not disagree with that, but I also think you had a better experience back in the day playing those games based on your gender than I did.
You were fine after you met us.
Yeah, but it's because we stopped, because one, that's right around the time that Xbox made Party Chat, and two, I had a friend group to play with where I was not talking to randos.
We didn't use Party Chat for a while. We were in the randos. That was the fun back in the day too, playing in the open sea. Like you never know what you're gonna get. You definitely get some assholes for sure. But I mean, you just shit talk them just as bad as they shit talk you.
Flip side of that, at least you weren't getting the unsolicited dick pics that I was getting, okay? And the toxic messages and everything else. Playing in the open back in the day as a lady was hard.
First of all, that is 100% true. Second of all, I got just as many toxic messages too.
You got just as many dick pics?
I didn't get dick pics. Unfortunately, I didn't get no dick pics.
I did. Sometimes I just wanted to reply with, why would you send that? That's not impressive.
I definitely got some hate mail back in the day. People were fucking awful back then. I will say that the Call of Duty community was far worse about the hate messages than Halo was. In Halo, like, they would just move on to the next match. In the Call of Duty, they would just, like, simmer on that shit for hours on end. They'd message you, like, 2 hours later after they messaged you the first time, going, you still thinking about me, asshole?
Halo, too.
You go,
I've had a few of those in Halo where it was one of those where I own the shit out of some people, and man, again, and I don't talk shit. If you play with me, I am not a shit talker. It's not who I am. I will with my friends.
Yeah, I talk trash to my friends.
Yeah, but I don't do it to other people. And so we'd sit there and play, and then all of a sudden, I would just annihilate somebody, and my shit would just light up. And it was just this guy just bitter as shit that was on there. And I'd go back to, because I loved it too, because Halo, you could just pull the shit up online and just pull over the side and see what it was and turn back and go, dude, I'm sorry that, you died 22 times. I obviously wasn't the only person that killed you. I don't know what to do with you.
Oh, no. Back in the day, you start something with me, I just give it back 100-fold. 100-fold. Oh, my God. Maybe you wouldn't die so often if you didn't suck, asshole. Let's try again. Queue up and we'll see if I beat your ass a second time. Oh man, you just go unrelenting on them because then they stop messaging because they're getting tired of it. You just turn to toxicity.
I still got the hate like that, but a lot of mine was more sexual harassment than it was anything else. So
yes,
that was why it was more difficult for me, and also why I was like super into the whole idea of the party chat thing. Like, yes, finally we can turn off the other people. Oh no, but aren't you supposed to hear them to be able to coordinate with them? No, fuck those people.
Especially if they played loud, obnoxious music.
Oh my God, that was the worst. Right? Loading into a Halo lobby and you got somebody like blaring Breaking Benjamin or something on this. It's like, stop. Just stop. Nobody cares.
So annoying.
You're not a DJ. Your music choice sucks. Get out of my face.
And they sound like they're eating their mic every time you talk to them too.
So the squeakers were the worst too. The squeakers eating chips was awful.
Squeakers.
Squeakers eating chips.
Those not in the know. That's your little ones.
No, ma'am. Get out of my face.
The ones that weren't old enough to actually buy the game. They had to have their parents' permission. Jeez.
Being propositioned by 12-year-olds was weird also, like knowing, like you can hear, like I can hear that you're obviously in your early tweens. Why are you talking to me like this? What are you thinking?
Thinking you might get laid online.
Send me a picture of your boobs. Does that work? Like, has that ever worked for you? Get off Xbox.
They don't say that anymore. Now it's, hey, send me a picture of or send me a link to your Snapchat or OnlyFans. Hit me that OnlyFans, I'll sub. To be fair, that's the rebuttal these days. Send me a picture of your boobs. Here's a link to my OnlyFans. Sign up, you can see.
At least it's lucrative now.
I know, right?
Right. Make money off this shit.
Hell yeah.
I got so ranty. So ranty.
Oh, man.
I guess we should go.
Yeah.
We're an hour and 23 minutes in.
I got a mess to clean, so.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I got laundry to put away.
Well, we do appreciate everybody that hangs out with us each time we record and have a good time every other week. Mostly, unless we have like holidays and stuff, then we're good to go. Make sure that you hit the sub button as well as the little bell that's at the bottom. make sure you go to twitch.tv/EliteChicken313. So back in the fall, when he gets back to where he can start gaming again, he'll have that opportunity. Go to twitch.tv/MDBOaktree. Same. Usually I'm on Sundays, so at least you have that available to you as well. For Infinite Respawn, I'm Oak Tree.
I'm Griff.
I'm Chicken.
Baka.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.